After a years-long battle, the National Park Service took down a controversial fence that confined Tule Elk at the Point Reyes National Seashore. The decision is already being challenged by ranchers. Our John Ramos has more on this drawn-out battle.
For years, activists have been after the Park Service to take down this fence holding the elk herd captive at the Tamales Point Reserve. And when they finally agreed to do so, the question became, well, how soon? And now it turns out it's not taking very long at all. For 4 years, Jack Gescheit has been leading a public relations campaign to free the herd of elk from captivity. So when the National Park Service announced last summer that they were considering removing the fence, it made him cautiously optimistic. But today, he was simply without words.
Wow. 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 You see this?
A long section of the fence was already gone. It was just on Monday that the Park Service announced that they had finalized their management plan to remove the fence, but even the activists didn't expect it to happen this quickly.
I mean, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Jack and I have been through quite a lot.
Without telling anyone, officials had removed a large portion of the 3-mile fence separating the elk from the adjoining cattle ranches.
Just looking at this fence being gone, it's incredible. It's wonderful. Someone texted me and said the fence is gone 5 minutes ago as I was driving here, and I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It just changes my whole vision of this place. I always come here and I'm depressed whenever I see the fence. It's the prison walls for the elk.
The elk were introduced in 1977, and the fence has kept them from roaming. But during droughts, including the one in 2022, the animals had a hard time finding water. Matthew Polverosa Klein began taking the heartbreaking pictures of the dead and dying animals that brought the problem into public view. So to see the fence down was an emotional experience.
It was my findings on the dead elk, the last major die-off, that helped spiral things downhill, and now I'm seeing this. It's pretty remarkable because if you think about all the elk that I found dead out here, I lost count. I had to stop coming out here.
Now the elk will be free to roam onto the adjoining cattle ranches, but there's not a lot of celebrating going on there. Albert Strauss's dairy operation is outside the park, so he's not affected by the elk, but he knows those who will be.
Farms are on edge right now trying to rebuild from the drought and the economic crisis that we were in. And the elk just are taken away from that feed, from that viability. And so it's a no-win situation for these farms and ranches.
That may be exactly what the environmental community is looking for. Gescheit is clear about the ultimate goal. He wants the cattle ranches, some that have been operating for more than 100 years, to be kicked out of the park entirely.
The founder's vision in 1962 was to make this a safe haven for wild animals, and you can't have that, a safe haven for wild animals with ranches in the park. They're diametrically opposed.
It's a very concerted effort by the government and the Nature Conservancy and these litigants to remove all the farms and the community. And we're devastating us.
One thing both sides agree on is the belief that the removal of the elk fence is being rushed before a new administration takes over in January. They both believe that a new Secretary of the Interior will be appointed who may have some very different views about elk and cattle ranchers that could once again change the landscape for agriculture in western Marin County.
The National Park Service declined an on-camera interview today, citing ongoing litigation. In a statement, they said that expanding the elk habitat would increase the species' population resilience during drought and promote a more natural population cycle.